One of the greatest things to experience in life, in my personal opinion, is the expression of art. As I grew up, the definition of art to me slowly expanded more and more until it became somewhat of an umbrella term. From drawings to dancing to acting to video editing, there's passion and meaning in every form of creation. But the sad thing is, most people aren't gonna see it. This isn't necessarily a jab at humanity, but a lot of people will only see the surface of something and never the layers. People will see good acting and say, oh, good acting. People will see good art and be like, oh, good art. But most won't go any further than that. It's only the ones with a curious eye or those who work in the same field that can notice the intricacies and little details. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if people misinterpret or don't get it. Art is there to be expressed by the creator, and if it can even touch one person's heart, then maybe it's all worth it. And all of this, I believe, is expressed in an amazing way in the second season of Oshi no Ko. Okay, now, Oshi no Ko isn't a perfect series. It has a ton of issues with writing and the elephant in the room.
Okay, fine, my ex and I were getting back together.
Oh no, you gotta be.
But it has really good moments that touch my heart with how it views art, and it isn't afraid to use its time to explore every detail of it. One thing I adore about the series is its passionate rants in a sense when it comes to a topic regarding being a celebrity, having an online presence, how a TV station works, how contracts and agencies work, and what it can do to you. I always found it interesting how neutral the perspective is when it comes to topics like that. Like, yes, this is dangerous and here are all the warnings, and here are also the pros and how amazing it can be. We see different characters reacting to being in that situation, and while I don't think it's perfectly executed, I think it's done well enough that it shows us both what the average person thinks on a topic compared to someone who's in-depth in the field and knows the inner workings of it. This passionate rant on a certain topic is heavily shown in the Tokyo Blade arc, which I think perfectly describes the passion of art and those that can see it. I know this arc gets shit on a lot, including my friends, and I thought it was the weakest in terms of arcs we had so far, but when season 2 came out, I completely changed my groove and I think it's absolutely amazing. It's really cool what an adaptation can do. The premise of the Tokyo Blade arc is regarding a 2.5 2D stage play that most of the cast in Oshi no Ko participate in. A large part of the conflict in this arc is how the show is going to be adapted, how it will remain faithful and true to the author's intentions, and also how each of the actors inject their own lives to the characters, and how they use said characters to resolve their own feelings and conflicts. Abiko, the author of the Tokyo Blade manga, is insistent on making sure her work is faithfully adapted and represented well. She's so insistent to the point of straight canceling the show once she sees how awful the script is. Goa, the screenwriter for the stage play, is caught between the two fates that await him. One where the play is awful and he gets the blame for it, or one where the play is good and the credit goes to the original author. Where do his thoughts lie, and how can he express his passion for Tokyo Blade within the limited ability he has, completely aware that the audience won't see the work he put in when it comes to adapting a manga to a full stage? The highlight definitely goes to the actors though, who all have a stake and an agenda to showcase. Melto desperately wants to prove himself after starring in a previous show that he was kinda ass on, and Kana and Akane attempt to understand each other more after performances. All of this leads up to the actual performance, where their feelings and passion are shown the surface level to the audience, but also to us, the watcher, on a much deeper level. I think Melt is the one that hit me the most personally. He's someone trying to prove himself due to his past failures and having to deal with it by many of his peers. His attractiveness was the only thing that kept him in the view of others, and so he pushes himself to improve in all other aspects. When he receives advice from Aqua, he uses the fact that people look down on him / don't expect much from him in order to create an outstanding moment for the audience. His feelings and emotions of distress are expressed in his performance in an amazing way, and when he mimics a certain move from the manga, it's his passion showing through in one split moment. It's not just that the audience thought, oh, that was a cool moment, it's something important to Melt. He put all his focus in this one scene because he knew it was the only time he could show both the audience and his peers that he wasn't lazy or deadweight, that in the moment he could carry his own weight and not be a liability. The audience doesn't know the context, yet still sees the amazing performance, but his peers sure do, and even the people who look down upon him suddenly see how much he actually cares on a level much deeper than you and I would think if we were in that audience watching Tokyo Blade. When it comes to Kana and Akane's performance in the play, it's shaped heavily on their relationship and how they try to understand each other. They've known each other roughly since they were young, and Akane used to idolize Kana. She thinks she knows her, what makes her click, and what her true aspirations are. In the play, when she attempts to instigate Kana to showcase her true self, to get back in the spotlight, which she surely wants, Kana actually holds back and instead lets Akane have the spotlight to herself instead. Each of their movements and actions that are done in front of the audience are to get closer and closer to understanding each other. A game of charades in some way. A game where only actions matter, never words, so you better do them right. It isn't just between Kana and Akane. Even Aqua jumps in, realizing what's going on in order to encourage Kana to have her own spotlight moment, causing the play to deviate slightly, but in favor of serving the actor's goals and ambitions. Now, this is all done in part because of the long internal monologues that occur during these scenes. Remember when I said what I love about the series is the use of passionate rants in a sense? It's on full display here. We don't just get the internal monologue of the actor and how they feel, we get the thoughts of those around them, the audience, the people who perhaps helped, the people who were perhaps worried about the performance, and the people who saw the seeds of it long ago. A hard part about going beyond the surface level of an art form is making us care. Like, Why should I? Why should I care about Melt and him wanting to prove himself? Why should I care about Kana and Akane's rivalry? Well, it's a complicated question because for some people, they don't care, and that's fine, they just suck. But for me, it's because all of it is encapsulated into the performance. It may not be obvious at first, but it's always there. You may notice it sometimes, and learning the feelings and passion to something can heighten the experience of said art form. Melt's anime move is cool on the surface level, but knowing what it means to him makes the moment even more amazing. And side note, this is why I love the anime adaptation, because you can tell the animators also saw the passion in Melt's performance and put so much more love into it. Now, am I looking too deep into this? Yes, no doubt. Not a lot of people do this admittedly, and those that do usually get it's not that deep, bro, but I kind of love doing this. You obviously don't need to go in depth on everything, but understand that there are more layers behind the surface is always important when you see art and stuff. I'm gonna go a bit off topic and talk about Bluelock and how it gives a really good example on those who only see the surface layer of something. Bluelock is a sports anime of soccer/football and some crazy shit, but a large part of it is understanding the sport and the techniques that each of the players use. They learn metavision to examine the field, communicate with other players, and devour the rest to be an egoista! When the cast of Bluelock win the U20, aka a tournament that's broadcast to all of Japan, it's a big deal to both the audience and the cast. When Isagi, the main character, returns back to normal life and talks with his friends who saw him during the match, he realizes what they see compared to him. They make a mention how Isagi stole the ball from another player to reach the goal, and Isagi gets snapped back to reality for a second, realizing this is what most of the audience saw. They don't know what metavision is. They don't know how much mind games were happening between each member, both team and foe, and it's the realization that most people will only care about the result of something. They don't see the sweat and tears, and it creates a question of, are the results the only thing that matter? Luckily, life isn't that narrow and hopeless, and that people only see one layer. And I apologize for how much I'm going to be reaching here, but I love seeing passion put into art. It's ingrained in whatever it is, and it just makes you appreciate things on like such a greater level, and it's not enough just for me to say it. I'm gonna directly tell you. When you see an art piece, you usually just say, well, that's pretty, but you start noticing more details, the shading, the colors that pop out in the best way possible, and on purpose. And if you're an artist yourself, you may notice techniques like certain layer styles, and maybe the exact brushes they use. I'm a video editor, so when I see a really well edited piece, I'm not just amazed, but I'm also looking at the process of how it was created, the exact effects used, how many assets were used to create it. And when I think about it, I can perfectly imagine the time it took to create something like that, and perhaps the stress it took to create it. And taking it out of my comfort zone, cosplay. I've been into conventions since 2022, and I've seen some amazing cosplays, and a lot of them are from my friends. There's a cosplay contest that happens every so often, and a group I know decided to make full handmade outfits of wonderful Russian love life. Looking at the outfits is one thing, but I saw a little sneak peek at a book they made and how they made the outfits, the exact references and materials used, and although I didn't see all of it, it really put into perspective how much really went into this. Not to say I didn't think hard work wasn't put into this, but it's breaking for that first layer that can make you appreciate it way more. And comparing it to Oshi no Ko, showcasing yourself on such a large stage, people probably aren't going to be able to notice the small details that show the passion they put into it. Yet, despite that, you can still feel it. No words need to be exchanged. I mean, damn, look at them go. Using another cosplay example because I literally just got off a convention, this person I know literally did a performance with their friend who lives on the other side of the United States with only a few times to practice, and they created some of the best costume performances I saw during the contest. It was really cute. Seeing the performance is one thing, but also knowing the context that they weren't able to practice that often makes it way more impressive. Is this a breach of privacy? I mean, it's public information. I don't think so. Anyway, the point is of what I'm saying is that there's so much to say about any art form. Performing, costume making, acting, video editing, art. The end result encapsulates all of our feelings and passion we put into it. And it's something that can't fully be described with words. But if there's one thing that came close to saying all those words, it was Oshi no Ko. Watching Oshi no Ko Season 2 really reminded me of why I love video editing. That the effort that goes into art can be noticed. That it can be put into words. And that as long as it touches one person's heart, maybe it's okay. I've made things when I was severely depressed. I've made things when I was sad and coping. And I've also made things when I was happy. And I put passion and my energy into all of that. And even if almost no one sees the nuance, as long as one person understands, it's worth it. Every bit and piece of us are captured like a screenshot in the works we create and do. And it's just really nice that Oshi no Ko has representation of that, with how much they dive into each character's passion and performance and what they intend to show. And of course, Oshi no Ko isn't the only series to dive into art like this, with meaning, expression and passion and such. It just happened to be the most recent series I watched that delved into that kind of stuff. And going to Komori-Con, the convention I went to recently, reminded me of Oshi no Ko, sort of, so it's kind of a very perfect video topic. I think some people would actually take offense to being compared to Oshi no Ko. Anyway, that's all I got. Sometimes it's okay to look deep into stuff. Sometimes it is that deep. Anyway, bye. That's all I got.